Haldeman Norfolk.
Common sense conservatives will axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime. After 8 years, this Liberal NDP Prime Minister is not worth the cost, the crime, or the corruption. Never before in the history of this great nation have so many people have to resort to food banks. Thousands are now resorting to dumpster diving because they can no longer afford the cost of food. Will this Prime Minister show some compassion and cancel the April 1st carbon tax hike?
That's the right thing to do.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
That colleague is from Ontario, where I'm from, Mr. Speaker, and the climate rebate that Ontarians will receive is over $1,100. That's for a family of 4. Mr. Speaker, I'm not surprised, though, to hear that member and the Conservatives continue to bring up these points. They want to take money out of the pockets of Canadians. Today, historic legislation tabled in the House of Commons on pharmacare. The Leader of the Opposition ran away when asked if he would support pharmacare. When it comes to student loans and helping students, when it comes to EI, pensions in particular, they're nowhere to be seen. They want to make cuts. They're a party of austerity, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member from Haldeman Norfolk.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians are getting back far less from this government than they're paying in carbon tax. According to Second Harvest, this year we'll see a 30% rise in the demand for food charity in some regions. Where I live in Southern Ontario, we produce food to feed the entire nation, yet so many families there still do not have enough income to cover basic food expenses. Why won't this government just do the right thing? Cancel the 23% carbon tax hike on April 1st so that Canadian families can afford food again.
Yeah, do the right thing.
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Gloom and Doom member who wants to take Canada out of the UN needs to know a little bit of good news for a change, Mr. Speaker. We've had many months of good news for Canadians. Just recently, Statistics Canada announced that in January we gained 37,000 new jobs, and there are 1 million more Canadians, Mr. Speaker, working than before the pandemic. The unemployment rate is at 5.7%, and wage growth is outpacing inflation, and that's even more true for women. You'd think that member would care about such things.
The Honourable Member from Battleford's Lloydminster.
Mr. Speaker, common sense conservatives will axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime. Because after 8 years, Canadians know that this Prime Minister is not worth the cost, crime, or corruption. Life has never been more expensive in this country. 1 million Canadians will be relying on food banks this year alone. And still, this Prime Minister is hell-bent on hiking the carbon tax up by 23% on April 1st. Mr. Speaker, why won't the Prime Minister cancel his carbon tax increase and help make life more affordable for Canadians?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I think the Canadians have had enough of the gloom and doom coming from over here. They're deliberately ignoring the truth about how our government has supported Canadians.
Order. The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, 2.3 million Canadians have been lifted out of poverty since this government took office and started caring about Canadians by putting supports in place that those guys had spent all their time cutting. Families throughout Canada have seen their child care fees slashed, in many cases down to $10 a day, thanks to this government and this Bill C-35 that we're getting ready to pass today.